10 o'clock, and he's wearing the Tormenta magenta. He is ready to go. And has it sunk in that you are this close to having your first ever playoff match there at Tormenta Stadium coming up in short order?
Not only has it sunk in, we hope there's more than one.
There you go.
Cannot be ready to go. By the way, I'm a fan of the show in addition to being a guest today. And I can tell you Michael Parkhurst is dead on with most of his comments on the games last night. And some of those guys that are not the greatest of teammates. Tormenta can tell you firsthand on those exact same teammates he was just speaking about too.
Yeah. I mean, it was a late night for a lot of us, and seeing I will full disclosure, Philadelphia drives me crazy, and we have listeners. Rich Ransom, one of our listeners and watchers on the Twitch pitch. He's from Philly, big Philly fan, and the good-natured needling that goes back and forth with Rich and our Atlanta base and everyone else around it. It's fun to see. But yeah, we have Philly fans here on the show who are definitely saying what they're up to after what happened last night in both of those matches.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice segue back to League One, but it's, we're all fans of the game. And so I had to throw in my 2 cents. We couldn't be happier to have a home playoff match. Thanks for being there for the last one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Expecting another good crowd, and hopefully we're off to a nice start of making Tormenta Stadium a tough place to play.
So go back to that last match for me, since you and I kind of had casual conversations, and head coach Ian Cameron didn't want any scores attached. He didn't want to know what was going on with North Carolina FC in Charlotte. He didn't want to know what was going on with Greenville. It was basically a media blackout and trying to take care of your own business there against Chattanooga in the last match of the regular season.
It wasn't, for 89 minutes, we were in second place, which was fun. And it made for great fun for our fans in the stadium. We were all certainly tracking how it goes, and football showed up. Great last goal from Greenville. And that isn't the epitome of what League One soccer is all about with late goals, but very pleased with how our guys played on the field. I thought we had it in hand, quite frankly, from the beginning, and now we get to welcome a really talented Charlotte team into our stadium here this weekend. Charlotte made a good run last year in the championship, and they're going to, I'm sure, have the same ideas of making a good run on the League One playoffs.
Yeah, and we talk about USL League One, and it's a point that I like to reemphasize a lot, where USL League One can be half-past crazy 120% of the time. And it's good for the league in that way, where you are hyper-competitive, you add in the rivalries and all these kinds of things. You have a good week, you can rocket up the table. You've got a bad week, you've got 3 matches in an 8-day span, and everything doesn't go well. You're below the playoff bar, so you've got to be at 100 for the entire season. There is no rest in this league whatsoever.
There's so many good players in this league. There's really good coaches, great fan bases. I think that our real test in us, I think we haven't lost, and I think we've only lost once in the last 10 matches, something like that. Mm-hmm. I know we haven't lost since we played Richmond at Richmond, and that's at least 2 months ago. But you got to bring it. You got to bring it, because it's fleeting and it'll go really, really fast. But if that's not just the nature of the game, who knows what it is? Everybody gets to beat everybody. And anyway, I'm glad we're one of 6 teams still playing.
Yeah, and as of things right now, Richmond and Greenville are your 1 and your 2. They're keeping an eye on the 4 of you that are playing this weekend. You get to host Charlotte. The folks up in Chattanooga get to host Union Omaha. We've caught up with all 4 of the head coaches that are playing this weekend on the network, and it's fun for those of us who get to cover it to see all of these great matchups. You've played each other 3 times in the season already, and all of this back and forth, and it's a delicate balance now because it's postseason. It's one and done. You've got that past bank of evidence. But now everything is amplified that much more, and you get to do it for the first time in club history.
They are going to restart the clock, and everybody's score is going to start at 0-0, isn't it?
Yeah.
The proverbial why we like sports. This game will be played and
Yes.
score will be kept. Can't wait.
I mean, when you look back, and this is the kind of stuff that I like to talk to you about. When you look back to day one, when you and Nitra started this as an idea, knowing that the impact that you could have there in the sport, B, in East Georgia, in the southeastern United States, with all of the different things that Tormenta has been able to accomplish, you get to add this now to a W League championship. Now the first team is sitting there, and now you're in playoffs. It's all of these incremental steps. Did you have an idea in your head as to how long things would take to get to certain stages? Or was it just, let's just go and give the best that we can and make sure that we can put the best thing out there, regardless of which element of the product that we're talking about, whether it's Academy, League Two, W League, or League One?
I think we all want to be master planners. I thought we'd win the title the first year, but so that's the naivete I bring to it. Here's what I have in the 4 years. I think our teams have been really, really strong every year, easily the strongest ever, but it's also the least amount of injuries that we've gone through. And we have 2 starters that we've missed all season, which is a lot better than the 6 and 7 that we had been going through in the previous hauls. What a long season pro soccer is. And I think that took some getting used to for us and getting better at it. But I love that you mentioned the women's national title. We have a chance this year. I think I'm right in this hot take that if Tormenta wins the League One title, it'll be the first time in U.S. soccer history that a club has won the title on the men's and the women's side.
Yeah.
And so, listen, we're ready to get to put that one to work. Listen, I love thinking back to those first days. I'm not sure what we thought our timeline was, John. You guys have always been there from the beginning with us. But our timeline has always been aggressive. Isn't that how it is in sports? It's not going to be any less aggressive. And we have an organization filled with folks that see it the same way.
With all of this that we're talking about here, I mean, it's interesting to see the growth. And I know that you want everything. Everyone wants everything instantly. You know, it's like, okay, we're out there and we're going to make sure that we get a title, and we want a title from day one. One of the things I don't think a lot of folks know is all of the miles that are put in, the phone calls that are put in, all the paperwork that is put in, all the conversations, individual and otherwise, whether it's Zoom these days, with agents and representatives. When it comes to all of this work as an owner and a president, how much work is it? Because I would hope that you have unlimited international calling on your phone. I would hope that you have Wi-Fi plans that are international based to make sure that you have unlimited Wi-Fi wherever you go. I mean, I don't think a lot of folks understand a lot of the time all of the work and international work that goes in, because you had some players come in mid-season that were integral in helping you out. And this is not, you're turning over, you're making phone calls to like Neptune to bring in players. I mean, that's what I don't think a lot of folks understand here is the work that's involved even in USL League One and in the W League to bring championships and competitive teams.
Well, Neptune had a good year, so we got to go find where those players are. Well, I appreciate you saying that. It is a lot of work. But if you're serious about it, the players are all over the world, and our job is to try and find them. Listen, we're the smallest market in this country playing pro soccer.
But everybody needs a Green Bay, Darin.
Yeah, that's right. And so we've got a little bit of that, but Green Bay's even a lot bigger than Statesboro. But that doesn't mean that it's not working here or anything else. But there's a lot of components that we have to get right, whether it's our stadium build and that live, work, keep, play piece that we're building all around that. We have the luxury of being across the street from a major university that continues to feed into the stuff that we're doing. And those become attractive places. I think I think sports fans might be surprised just how many of the players are seeking that lifestyle that we're able to pull off in a smaller area. When you talk about the miles, though, I just sat here and thought, man, I've been on 14 round trip air with just the first team.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably, when I include the women's team, League Two, and the first team, that's got to be 50 bus trips just this season. And Nitra and I don't miss games as owners. That's part of our. That's important to us.
Mm-hmm.
So that all really does add up. I appreciate you highlighting it. Although when you make me think about it, it just makes me tired. Listen, but this is also the flip side of that. Yes, you need international calling, and yes, there's lots of agents to talk to, and this is really big, important stuff. But when you go through a cold snap on a new field, somebody's got to be there at 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. to make sure the irrigation is running to keep the ice off the field.
True.
That's been my job the last 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So this is what you wear when you get up at 4:30 in the morning. But those are also really enjoyable things to do. Those were not stressors. It was calming, but you have to have somebody to do it. And quite frankly, in our organization, I'm not going to ask somebody else to be out there at 4:30. So I'm going to go do it first. So we'll know what it's like, and we'll make arrangements for making sure that happens in the future. By the way, I've had lots of folks in our organization have said, you don't need to be out there. I'll be out there. Let me come and do it. That's how we roll.
Okay. Well, so then let me ask, how is the updates? You mentioned the irrigation system, but now that you're playing in your place, it is Tormenta Stadium. How are things progressing into the idea of the live work play? I know that if you look out the north end zone, you can see the development that's going on right there with the road and all that kind of stuff. Where do things stand right now as you're building live work play there at Tormenta Stadium?
If you're a fan of Tormenta, you're going to see this thing come out in lots of little fun stages over the next several years. Phase 1 is done, but phase 1 is what we call it publicly. All the Roman numeral phases that happened before phase 1 have been baked in.
Little A, little B, little C, I, yeah.
To get to here, how much detail do we want? The excavators were out there putting in storm drains to bring so the other horizontal work can get done. Listen, we're building a big project in the middle of real economic challenges. So those things post them where we've gone through pandemics to now a time of inflation, and our business isn't immune to any of those things either. But we haven't slowed down. We're making sure we get it right.
Well, and also the relationship that you have with the university is key and part and parcel to all of this. It's the two of you have been walking together in this entire process to make sure that you grow as an organization and that the university continues to grow in its footprint, because you've only got a certain the space that is there for Georgia Southern University is finite. When you get to the Parkway, there's only one direction to go, and it's out. And the two of you, I think, have done a really good job of working hand in hand to make sure that both of you can continue to thrive right now.
It's really enjoyable to be working with great leaders of any places, and our mayor here in Statesboro is a big advocate of what we're doing. Our city council has been nothing but supportive. County commissioners, board of education, president at Georgia Southern, our athletic director. It's fun to be with folks who want to try to figure out how to get it right, how to make everyone win and benefit from it. We know that we all need each other, and we're going to be part of how we identify ourselves here in Statesboro and South Georgia.
One of the other things that I wanted to get into discussion with before you get your morning nap in, considering that you've probably
there are no naps here. That's a required. You don't get to nap
since you've been there since 4:00 in the morning. There's been some movement in USL League One.
Yes.
I want to get your thoughts on those. John Perlman, the head coach of FC Tucson, and his ownership group that he has assembled are now taking over FC Tucson. They're going to go to USL League 2. and figure things out before hopefully coming back at some point. And Knoxville is coming up from USL League 2. And One Knox SC, our friends over there, they're now going to be a part of it to add to the rivalries here in the Southeast and the Southeastern footprint. So one leaves, one comes back, in addition to everything else that's been going on. But you add Knoxville, but you lose FC Tucson.
How about when you look at the growth of pro soccer? We'll do League One, since that's us here. How much of it's in the South?
Yeah, absolutely.
You ever wondered where the demands were? Look at exactly where they are. And by the way, look where all the playoff teams are in League One this year too. I mean, outside of Omaha, we're all essentially in the southeastern quadrant of the United States, and given a little permission with the Atlantic region there with Richmond.
Mason-Dixon line can move. That's all right.
Yeah, there you go. Listen, our friends at FC Tucson, that was a sad news to hear. I understand what they're doing. We've got our first instance of promotion relegation going on. Mm-hmm. They'll be back. I think they're going to work out some things. They've got to figure out their stadium deal in Pima County is our understanding. The ownership group the Board of Governors learned about this move earlier in the week from Tucson, so not much more before it was announced publicly. It'll be in great hands there. And the previous ownership group, Brett Stevens, is linked to what's going on in the USL Championship in Pawtucket in Rhode Island. So I think there were some internal business moves that had to take place. They'll be back. I think it'll be a couple of years, but I think they'll be back. We've known about Knoxville on the ownership side for a while. It's fun to get those guys announced. We played them in our League 2 season. So they've got a similar path that we did at Tormenta. I'm not sure yet if they're going to keep their League 2 team, but they were very well coached and had a really great sense of how to do it. They'll be instantly quite good. I think the other big news, by the way, was also the announcement of the USL Championship team in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Same ownership group that owns Forward Madison. That gives them 2 teams to move players back and forth that are all professional.
Yep.
We have obviously League 2 on the amateur side and then a professional team in League 1. That's a different kind of movement than you can do at the snap of the finger amongst pro teams. I think it'll be a massive upsell in that organization in general. They're terrific people that are running Forward Madison. Keep your eyes out for that, because I think that'll be a fun one to watch there, but between what happens in Milwaukee and Madison, Wisconsin.
That's slated for 25, I believe, if memory serves. 24, 25, somewhere in there.
25.
All right, so lay it all out for me for those that want to come and see the playoff match this weekend down there in Statesboro. What's on the docket? What's on the dais? What's on getting in the door? Lay it all out for me. Cut the promo.
Well, if you got to see the best team, the best pro team south of Macon, Georgia, playing, you're going to see them Saturday, 7:00. Get the long-time Charlotte Independence organization in here. It's going to be a battle. 7:00, gates open at 5. We'll have the music playing. Arrive early, get your merch, get your food. We need it. There's no way of being anything other than very candid and straightforward. It's a fun time going to be in Statesboro. Wear short sleeves when you arrive. You're going to want a jacket by the time it's game time.
Truth, absolutely. And the house band that you had last weekend, when they ended their set with the full song of the theme of The Greatest American Hero, William Catt and Connie Selica, that was a moment for me. I'm like, yep, I know exactly where that is.
It was so good. The Ripleys crushed it. That's the name of the band. We got to get those guys back. I think an eight-member band, if I remember.
Full Hammond B2 organ, and I think it was a 3-part harmony with the singers. But yeah, when they broke out Greatest American Hero and went to the second verse, I'm like, yep.
How about all that music from our middle school days?
I know.
It's come back and everybody loves it. I mean, my kids think it's the greatest era ever. I wish I could have lived when you were younger. I was like, I didn't really think about it.
well, it's like, all right, so here's what you do. It's like, here's Mike Post and here's Joey Scarberry. Those are the 2 guys that you need to sit there, and it's like, all right, listen to those 2 on your Spotify. That's what It's what you need to do. But as always, Darin, thanks for hanging out with us here on SDH and laying everything out for a very, very big day for you this weekend down there in Statesboro. Charlotte Independence coming to town, round 1 of the USL League One playoffs. Thanks for hanging out, my friend. Be safe. We will be keeping an eye on things.
Thank you, John.